I'm Travis Berry with the Pinball Company, and today we're diving in on a classic opener and my preferred approach to Stern Pinball's Godzilla. Godzilla can get pretty busy with lots of side quests and actions. However, we will be focusing on the core path while addressing some of that side stuff that helps us along the way. Our main goal is simple: engage in 2 Tier 1 Kaiju battles, with one of them being stacked with a multi-ball. If none of that makes any sense to you, don't worry, it all will by the end of this video. With that being said, let's get to it. And again, if you have any questions, drop them down below. I'll answer what I can. If I was trying to absolutely annihilate this game and get to wizard mode, I'd probably play it a lot different than this, but you know, it is what it is. There's just tons that you could do on this. So first and foremost, I like short plunging, getting a ball to a flipper, hitting both ramps. You can hit the same ramp twice, and that will qualify your first Kaiju battle that's on the scoop. So as soon as you hit this scoop, what you're going to be faced with is a decision. You got 4 different Kaijus that you could pick to battle. I like picking Gigan, which is the third one. The reason for this is I can just spam ramps the whole entire time. So Godzilla vs. Gigan, it is ramps, and you have to hit 8 of them. You can combo these, however, I prefer just hitting the right ramp and ski jumping over if the copy allows me. Even better, if you have the locks qualified, then that building alters the path, and so you can just do right ramp the whole entire time and it comes back to your left flipper. But this way is how you could play a premium or even a pro, since the building doesn't alter the shot. Now, what you just saw there too, I got halfway through it, that did light the ally to the right. So you see that insert just kind of going clockwise right there, or counterclockwise anytime I hit the right flipper. That's what you're seeing, that switch right there. All right, so there's our final blow that will light the destruction jackpot up the middle, which I am taking aim at right now. Again, allies will switch every single time the right flipper's used. So that's why you see it moving counterclockwise. And another thing we see when Godzilla controls a city, you get points, you get a boost, you end up getting your destruction jackpot build up. And again, that's lots of other things going on, the power-ups, everything. That all basically happens in the background as you're doing certain tasks or achieving certain things within the game. But I don't want to bog everybody down with too many details. Just know that you complete Kaiju battles, you just try to make progress in the game. And as you go along, you can try to do a little bit more as you get used to knowing what each thing does, basically. And you're seeing like tanks advance, bridge multi-ball. That's a lot of other stuff that's in the background too. But we're not really worried too much about that right here. Now, what we are seeing right now is that Godzilla Multiball is qualified. That's why my locks are lit at the building. So now it's going to act as a physical ball lock. What I like to do in this instance, and you do have a ball save most of the time, every time you do a lock. So that's what you just saw right there too. What I like to do is I prefer to try to change cities as quickly as I can. I don't necessarily like staying in Tokyo and worrying about it too much in terms of building up my carnage bonus or my annihilation bonus, whatever it's called. Can't think of it off the top of my head, but I don't really go after that. So I'm going to stop it right here at the beginning of this game right here. And so right now we're stopped and we see that I'm at 79.5 million points or something like that. But it's important to understand too that every single time you get done with a ball, be sure and check where you're at in the game, because that can allow you to understand what is your next move? Which direction are you going with this game? And if I look at the LCD screen, I see that my bridge is at 75%, my tanks are at 2 of 10, my power is at 0 of 2 sets, but my raid is Godzilla controls Tokyo. Now, what do those 4 things mean? Well, if you look in the middle of the playfield, you'll see 4 inserts with only one of them lit right now that's yellow to represent raid, which means I completed that particular Kaiju battle for this city. Now, there is 4 different cities. You start out with Tokyo in this case. And so because I haven't changed cities yet, I'm able to still see what all I still have to do within this city. Now, those 4 things, you do them in every single city. That's all you really need to know at this point. With bridge, all that is just hitting a bunch of switches and then eventually hitting the Magna save shot or the Magna grab shot that's at the captive ball up there by the building. And you'll notice that the orange insert's lit, which signals that I'm ready to hit that. So your goal there is to hit so many switches, hit that magna grab, it goes down by 25%. That building does, the integrity of it. That's what they call it in the game. So once you do that, you get it down to 0, that will light a multi-ball. But we're not really worried too much about that right now, but that's what that means. Tanks, that's simply the green inserts that are lit around the playfield. Whenever you hit that, that's basically destroying a tank. Once you destroy 10, that lights your scoop for tank multi-ball. Now that does take priority over starting a mode. You cannot start that in a mode at the same time, and you cannot start a mode or a kaiju battle while you're currently playing that multi-ball, or any multi-ball for that matter. So I don't really worry too much personally about going after tanks, but that's what you see right there. With power, you see it's a 0 of 2 sets. All that means is the 3 stand-up targets that are blue, right, with the blue inserts. You hit those and you do it enough, you complete a set. You got to complete 2 sets, and that'll eventually start lighting some other features within the game. But again, we're not worried about that right here, but that's what that is. So looking at this and seeing what I have available, I have my 3rd lock ready to go. But I'm going for a certain stack that is a killer stack in this game. And that stack is a Godzilla Multiball with Titanosaurus. Now, the reason why this is a great stack is because when you play Titanosaurus, you have to hit those same 3 targets that I just talked about a second ago that are the power targets up there with the blue inserts. And then from there, you'll hit the mazer target on the left. And then from there, you'll hit the magna grab for your final shot. That just works really well whenever you're in a multi-ball. So ideally, that's the stack you want to go for. Titanosaurus with Godzilla multi-ball. However, make sure you start Titanosaurus before you start your multi-ball. And the great thing is too, we have our allies lit. Why? Because we got through Gigan through halfway. And that's the important thing. Every single time you get halfway through a kaiju battle, you light an ally. So remember that. That's very important. And the ally that we want to use for this, or that I want to use, is going to be Rodan, which is my 2x playfield for 60 seconds. The reason why I want that is because putting that together right now, because I'm going to make sure I'm taking my power up level to go to Godzilla Multiball, right? And I want to just piece this all together. So the first thing I have to do is now I have to switch cities. So I chose London. It does matter like which one you take, but for purposes of this video, we're not worried about it because I'm not going to utilize it. But now my goal is to go ahead and hit ramps as fast as possible. So I need to hit the right ramp and the left ramp to qualify my Titanosaurus. But you just saw that jet fighters started, and this is one of the side quests we talked about. The thing with the premium, if you do start jet fighters, which are via just hitting the end lanes 3 times each, you'll want to hit the red shot over and over and over again. It's just easiest to do by just spamming the right ramp, just as long as you can keep the ball under control, especially if there's ball locks and the ball's diverting back. So the other thing I'm trying to do right now is I could take my final shot at that far left spinner to finish off jet fighters completely, but I'm not really worried about it because I shot 5 jet fighters down. I have another ally lit. So even though I have 2x going, I have another one that I can use. Now, right now, I'm making a strategic decision because I still want my 2x. So it could have been argued earlier, and we'll go ahead and just let that ball go. It could have been argued earlier, and most likely what I should have done is go ahead and take Mothra, which would have been a ball save on the left-hand side. So we'll go ahead and stop it right here before ball 3. And like I was saying, this is why it's important to be sure and be aware of where your allies are at. Now, most instances in that spot, I would take a Mothra, which is basically the yellow insert that's closest to the scoop. And the reason why you'd want to take Mothra is because that is your outlane ball save to the left-hand side. And in most tournaments, in most situations that Godzilla is, you will drain down that side a lot, especially if you're doing half loops and you're trying to use upper flipper, or you do it half ramp, or you just go to Sling Town and the ball just flies that direction. I felt comfortable in this pin because I know I have a post on the outlane and I know it's a little bit easier to save it. However, most instances, I am going ahead and trying to get Mothra there in that spot if my battle is not immediately lit and ready for me to go. Since I knew I had to change cities and I knew I had to still qualify to go ahead and get my next battle, that's why I opted to go ahead and do 2x right there, just because I just wanted to get my jet fighters out of the way. I just wanted to try to speed through it. But like I said, most times use Mothra and you'll be a lot better for it. Now that I knew that my 2x was running down, I did not want to waste my extra ally. I want that to be 2x right now because this is the most optimal time to use a 2x. And the reason being is, again, because the multi-ball's ready and Titanosaurus can now be used. So the other thing I can do from here is I can either keep aiming for that or I can try to hit the spinner over and over and over again. However, I go ahead and just opt to try to start my mode, and we do. The reason why you'd hit the upper spinner over and over again is for heat ray, which basically would be you holding down the action button and spotting any shot. But now that we're at level 2 Godzilla power up, we're going to go tier 1 battle bonus 5x, which is important because that just makes the mode even more valuable at the end of it because you get a time bonus. So now we're at the best stack for early on, Godzilla Multiball with Titanosaurus. That's what we're looking for. So my priority now is to get the ball in that building. So there you go. So now we're at the classic stack, Godzilla Multiball, Titanosaurus, and our goal right now is to finish Titanosaurus and to also spam the targets that just spun around at that Mecha Godzilla shield. We hit those enough that will spin that back around and expose that spinner for an add-a-ball. So all of that's priority right now. And you'll see me take pot shots at it. And I'm kind of just taking shots at a little bit of everything right now. And we do need to hit 6 jackpots overall to light our super jackpot at the building. And that's for the Godzilla Multiball. So that's what we're seeing. Lots of things going on. I believe you can max out each jackpot to 4 or 5x total. I forget if it's 4 or 5 shots off the top of my head. But right now we got Titanosaurus on the far right target. We just hit that. Now the Mazer target is lit on the left, so that's going to become priority. And we also have an ally lit to the right. Why? Because we got halfway through our Titanosaurus. So there's our double super. Got it by accident early on, but hey, we'll take it. It's good points. There's our add-a-ball right there. And just like we talked about, we're over 400 million right now and climbing. This is where the points are. If you've ever wondered how you could try to break 500 million, this is one of the most effective ways to do it. And that's what pinball is. It's just knowing your path and then it's executing. So there's the extra ball. Why did we get an extra ball? Because we defeated 2 kaijus. In competition, that would have been worth 50 million or 100 million if it was doubled. So I drain out right there and I use my heat ray because why not? And then again, because we defeated the kaiju, destruction jackpot, immediately available. Even if we would have drained out, that would have still been available after the next ball. Of course, this is ball 3 technically, so, you know, we would have been done by then. So we see destruction jackpot building, and this is really where the game starts opening up for you. That's where you see the destruction jackpot's bigger. That's where you see the power-ups coming in. You just see points piling up. You see allies coming in. And that's ideally a good spot. So we're going to try to get under control here and see where we're at after collecting that. Got a little rage combo, but again, we're not going to worry too much about explaining that right now. And you can see my ally spinning around. So we do have an ally. There's Magna Grab, and there's an accidental rampage because I have a weird switch going funky. But again, like we said, there's a bunch of stuff going on right now. And with this game, it can get complex, but as long as you focus on the core, that's the goal. You can start understanding everything else eventually, but really focus on the core, just your battles. Understand how to start the battles and what they are.